Society has a joke about you. You are the friend who always cancels at the last minute, the one who is sick again, tired again, or maybe next time. They label you as boring, antisocial, or perhaps even a little broken. But what the world calls avoidance, psychology reveals as a sophisticated form of protection. We live in a culture that treats extroversion as the default for a healthy life. We are told that energy is something you find out there in the noise, the chaos, and the constant friction of human interaction. We are bombarded with filtered images of people living their best life at crowded parties and loud festivals. But if you are someone who feels a genuine surge of adrenaline not from a night out, but from the moment you turn the key in your lock and realize you have zero obligations to the outside world, you aren't missing out on life. You are finally beginning to live it on your own terms. To understand why you crave the sanctuary of your four walls, we must first look at the biological reality of the social battery. For an extrovert, the world is a giant solar panel. They recharge through the movement and the presence of others. They feel depleted when it is too quiet. But for you, every social interaction, even the ones you truly enjoy, is a tax. It is a slow leak in your energy reservoir. You don't find energy in the crowd, you spend it there. This is why home isn't just a place where you sleep. It is the only charger that actually works for your specific neural architecture. While society romanticizes being busy, you have realized that being busy is often just a distraction from being real. When you turn down an invitation without guilt, you aren't being lazy. You are performing an act of extreme self-awareness. You are recognizing that your internal resources are finite and that performing for the world is far more exhausting than simply existing within yourself. This preference for solitude is often tied to what psychologists call optimal arousal theory. Every human being has a different threshold for stimulation. Some people need a high-volume environment to feel awake. Others, like you, have a nervous system that is already hyper-attuned to the world. For a person with a low-stimulation preference, the noise of society isn't fun, it is a sensory overload that borders on physical pain. Out there, the world is a chaotic variable you cannot control. You are forced to deal with loud strangers, unpredictable schedule changes, and the shallow performance of small talk with people who don't truly care about your answer. But at home, you are the sovereign ruler of your environment. You control the lighting, the temperature, the scent, and the narrative. For the highly sensitive or the deeply introspective, this control isn't a luxury. It is a survival mechanism. It is the only space where you can finally take off the social mask and allow your brain to settle into a state of deep, restorative peace. The truth that most people are too loud to hear is that solitude is the laboratory of the soul. Society fears the homebody because a person who is happy alone is a person who cannot be easily manipulated by the fear of missing out. When you find joy in small rituals, the way the morning coffee tastes in your favorite mug, the specific spot on the couch where the light hits just right at sunset, you are practicing a level of mindfulness that the rest of the world rushes past. You aren't doing nothing when you stay home. You are engaging in the active, intense work of self-regulation and creativity. The best ideas, the deepest problem-solving, and the most profound self-reflections don't happen in a crowded bar. They happen in the quiet corners of your own sanctuary. You aren't broken, and you aren't hiding. You are simply wired for depth over noise, and for peace over performance. Why is it that some people can dance in a sea of strangers for hours, thriving on the thumping bass and the flashing lights, while you feel unplugged and depleted after just 30 minutes of social interaction? Society likes to call you shy or unproductive, but the truth has nothing to do with your personality. It is found in your reticular activating system, RAS, the part of the brain that controls your baseline level of arousal and how you react to the world around you. Psychologists call this optimal arousal theory. Think of your brain like a neural circuit board with a built-in dimmer switch. For the extrovert, that switch is naturally set to low. They need the external noise, the social friction, and the high-octane chaos of the world to turn their switch up just to feel awake. Without it, they feel understimulated and bored. But for you, the one who finds sanctuary in the four walls of your home, your dimmer switch is already set to high. Your internal world is naturally vibrant, loud, and complex. Image: a high-tech neural diagram comparing a low-arousal brain seeking external input and a high-arousal brain that is already internally saturated. This means that you don't go home to do nothing. You go home because your brain is already doing too much. Every car horn, Every flickering neon sign and every forced "how are you" from a neighbor is a sensory assault on your nervous system. For the homebody, the world isn't a playground. It is a minefield of overstimulation. When you walk into a crowded room, your neurons aren't feeling fun. They are experiencing a biological overload, like a high-performance computer being forced to run too many programs at once. It isn't a fear of people. It is a biological rejection of noise. This low-stimulation preference is actually a sign of a hyper-efficient processor. Science suggests that those who prefer solitude often possess a deeper level of information processing. You don't just see a room. You analyze the micro-expressions of the people in it, the tone of the conversations, and the emotional debris left behind by social interactions. While the extrovert is busy consuming the moment, you are busy Moshe it. This level of depth is exhausting. Home is the only place where the input stops and the processing can begin. It is the only place where you can finally clear the neural cache. Image: a silhouette of a person sitting in a quiet room, with their inner world represented by galaxies and complex geometric patterns exploding within their mind. Stop apologizing for needing the stillness. In an age of the attention economy, where every app and every person is trying to hijack your cognitive energy, choosing to stay home is a strategic withdrawal. You aren't missing out on experiences. You are curating a higher quality of life. An evening spent on your couch, lost in a thought spiral, or immersed in a comfort show, isn't a waste of time. It is an active engagement with your own consciousness. It is the only time you aren't being performed upon. You have been told that you need to get out more to grow, but for the homebody, growth is vertical, not horizontal. You aren't interested in the breadth of shallow connections. You are wired for the depth of internal exploration. Your home is not a prison. It is a high-tech laboratory where you regulate your nervous system and refine your thoughts. You aren't broken. You are simply a high-performance machine that requires a very specific, quiet environment to function at its peak. You don't need the world to turn the volume up. You've already found the symphony in the silence. The world outside your front door is a cacophony of variables you did not choose. From the moment you step onto the street, you are subjected to a constant, exhausting cognitive tax. You have to navigate loud strangers, sudden noises, the blinding glare of unpredictable weather, and the relentless pressure of social performance. In public, you are in a defensive crouch, your brain constantly scanning for cues, forced to adapt to environments designed by and for someone else. But the second you cross your threshold, the power dynamic shifts. You aren't just a resident. You are the sovereign ruler of your environment. For the person who loves staying home, environmental control isn't a luxury, it's a biological necessity. Psychologists have long understood that a sense of control is the primary antidote to anxiety. Out there, you are a passenger in a vehicle driven by chaos. But at home, you control the lighting, the temperature, the acoustics, and the vibe. This is what we call environmental attunement. For the highly sensitive person, HSP, or those with social anxiety, being able to dim the lights or choose the exact frequency of a background melody isn't about being picky. It's about lowering the baseline of hypervigilance. It is the only place where your nervous system can finally drop its guard because it knows that no unpredictable variable is going to strike. This sovereignty allows for a rare psychological state: authentic existence. In the outside world, you are wearing a mask, whether you realize it or not. You are modulating your voice, your posture, and your reactions to fit the social script. But in your sanctuary, the performance ends. You can be messy, you can be silent, you can be entirely still. This isn't hiding from life. It is curating a life that actually fits your skin. When you choose your couch over a crowded bar, you are choosing a space where you don't have to apologize for your boundaries. You are choosing a reality where you are finally the primary stakeholder. The homebody understands a truth that a hypermobile society often forgets: that your surroundings dictate your internal state. If your environment is chaotic, your mind will be fractured. If your environment is curated and controlled, your mind can finally achieve flow. This is why the home is the ultimate social biohack. By removing the friction of the unpredictable, you clear a path for deep thought and restorative rest. You aren't stuck at home. You are presiding over the only kingdom where the rules are written by your own needs. You haven't retreated from the world. You have built a better one, 6 feet at a time. Society has conditioned us to believe that doing nothing is a moral failure. We are told that if we aren't producing, networking, or consuming, we are wasting our potential. But for the homebody, staying home isn't doing nothing. It is an intense, active engagement with the self. It is the only time the brain is allowed to switch from response mode to reflection mode. In the outside world, your mind is a reactive machine, dodging stimuli and fulfilling social obligations. But in the quiet corners of your room at 2 a.m., your brain finally activates its most powerful asset, the default mode network, DMN. This neurological network is the primary engine of creativity and self-awareness. It only fires up when you are not focused on the external world. This is why your best ideas, your deepest realizations, and your most elegant solutions to complex problems never arrive in a crowded office or a noisy bar. They arrive in the stillness. They are born in what psychologists call cognitive incubation. By staying home, you aren't avoiding life. You are providing the necessary environment for your subconscious to breathe. You are turning your living room into a laboratory, where you synthesize your experiences and transform raw data into wisdom. However, we must address the distinction that most people miss: the difference between solitude and loneliness. Solitude is a choice. It is a state of being alone, but not lonely, a voluntary withdrawal to recharge the spirit. Loneliness, on the other hand, is a hunger, a painful gap between the connection you want and the connection you have. For the true homebody, solitude is a luxury. It is a state of social fasting that cleanses the mind of the noise of other people's opinions. Yet, as your source wisely suggests, there is a darker edge to this sanctuary. For some, the four walls of a home aren't just a refuge. They are a shield against a world that feels too heavy. When the desire to stay home is driven by past trauma, social anxiety, or the quiet whispers of depression, the home undergoes a terrifying transformation. It stops being a refuge and starts becoming a cage. You must ask yourself the uncomfortable question: are you staying home because it fills you up, or because leaving feels like a threat? One is a path to peace. The other is a strategy for hiding. The brilliance of the homebody lies in their ability to recognize this boundary. They understand that their inner world is so rich and so vast that they don't need the world to entertain them, but they also know that a sanctuary is only powerful if you have the strength to leave. Yet they find joy in the small rituals that others rush past. The morning coffee routine, the way the light hits the floor, the comfort of a familiar story. These aren't just habits, they are a celebration of the present moment. While the rest of the world is chasing the next big thing, the homebody has already found it in the beauty of the now. You aren't missing out on memories. You are making the only memories that truly matter, the ones you have with yourself. We live in an era of radical accessibility. Between the pings of notifications and the relentless pressure of the attention economy, the modern world has declared war on silence. We are told that being unreachable is a social sin, and that staying home is a symptom of a life wasted. But as we have explored, the psychology of the homebody reveals a much more profound truth. In the 21st century, the ultimate status symbol isn't a plane ticket or an invite to an exclusive event. It is the sovereignty of your own time. When you choose a solo Saturday over a loud social obligation, you are practicing a high-level form of social fasting. You are cleansing your mental palate from the toxic residue of other people's expectations. This isn't about missing out. It is about self-awareness. While society romanticizes the influencers and the live your best life culture, you have realized that your best life doesn't require a filter or an audience. It requires a documentary, a bowl of soup, and the absolute freedom of zero obligations. This isn't sad, it is a masterclass in emotional maturity. You have reached a state where your inner world is so rich and so vibrant that you no longer need the world to entertain you. The joy you find in small rituals, the way the morning coffee tastes in your favorite mug, the specific way the light hits the floor at sunset, the familiar weight of a book in your hand, is a neurological signature of a regulated nervous system. These aren't just habits, they are biohacks for the soul. While most people are rushing past these moments in a desperate chase for the next big thing, you have found the only thing. You have swapped the performance of life for the experience of life. You have realized that peace is not just the absence of noise, it is the presence of yourself. So, let the world call you boring. Let them wonder why you always cancel. Let them pity your quiet Friday nights. They are looking at you through the lens of their own fear, the fear of being alone with their own thoughts. But you know better. You know that you aren't broken, and you aren't hiding. You are simply wired for depth over noise. You have chosen the vertical growth of the spirit over the horizontal distraction of the crowd. You have built a sanctuary where you can finally take off the mask and breathe. In the end, it's a simple question of alignment. Do you stay home because it fills you up, or because you finally realize that out there, they are just making excuses? If you find genuinely happy Saturdays in your pajamas, if you find more comfort in a rewatched show than in a forced memory, then own it. You aren't staying in. You are coming home to the only person who was ever truly meant to understand you. This is the psychology of the sanctuary. This is the power of being unreachable, and it is the most sophisticated way to live in a world that has forgotten how to be still.